Warning, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
I'm ready, motherfucker.
All right, welcome to the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. I am here with a poker OG, Mike Matusow, the biggest mouth in poker. Mike, what's up?
What's up, motherfucker?
Hey, I can't believe I got you out of bed at 11 a.m. to do this.
That makes two of us, man.
All right. So for those of you, if you're in poker, you know this name. It's Mike Matusow. Mike
Mike Matusow.
Mick Matusow, Sow, whatever. Matusow. M-A-T-U-S-O-W. Matusow. But you know everyone calls you Matusow, right?
Fuck him.
Okay. All right. So, Mike, listen. This is what
First,
I know.
you need to understand what's going on here, okay? Fucking, I was supposed to be at 9 a.m. at the Republican Jewish Coalition this morning.
Yeah.
It was the big event in Las Vegas. My guy who told me, you can't miss this. You have to come every year. Get your ass up. You know what I had to tell him?
What?
I had to be on the Nick Vertucci show at 11 o'clock, and if I didn't, Nick was going to kick my fucking ass.
Well, you know, you're in a wheelchair and shit, so I probably would take a lot of heat for kicking your ass, so it probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah. You know, the truth of the matter is, you know, when he called me, it's like, you got to come. Like, Pence is going to be there, and DeSantis is going to be there, and all the big hitters are going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And you know what I told them?
Not bigger than me.
I'm fucking over politics, man. I made other arrangements.
Let's be so over it that we don't even talk about it. How about that?
Know,
okay.
It was so good to be over.
Yeah,
it. So that's what.
That is.
So I skipped that for you. I skipped seeing all the.
Oh, you're welcome.
Big time, and I had front row seats too. I could have met everybody. All for you.
You're welcome. I saved you your 3 or 4 hours of nothing burger over there.
Misery.
So,
correct.
Listen, Mike. This is what I know about you, and I could be wrong. I could be missing something. You have 4 WSOP bracelets.
Mike Matusow has won event 13 at the 2013 World Series of Poker, the $5,000 buy-in 7-card stud 8 or better championship event. For the win, Matusow earned $266,000 and his 4th WSOP gold bracelet. Card Player TV caught up with him at his bracelet ceremony to learn how it felt.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, I tell people, you know, quality, not quantity. And, you know, this is my second event. First event, I finished 13th at the Omaha 8 Stud 8. And then took 2 days off because I was so exhausted. And then came right back and won this. You know, it's I really believe, you know, to win these things, you got to be rested and well prepared. The people that run around and playing with all these bracelet bets, running around from tournament to tournament. I mean, that maybe somebody can do it, but I think it's so much you have to mentally prepare yourself to win these things. And you know, I was very mentally prepared for this tournament before it started. I felt it. It's kind of crazy. Like in the Omaha 8 Stud 8, I finished 13th. I left the house and I telling my friends and everybody, I'm like, I just don't feel it. And they go, what do you mean you don't feel it? I go, when I know I'm going to win, I know I'm going to win, and I just don't feel I'm going to win this. But then when this tournament came, I was so sure I was going to win it for 2 days. I just felt it.
Matusow now has bracelets in 4 different games, including No Limit Hold'em, Omaha 8 or better, No Limit Deuce to 7 Lowball, and now Stud 8 or better. Matusow is particularly proud of his 2 wins in the split pot games.
And you've made 14 final tables, and you have a title. What title is that in 2002 over D-Negs? That if you have more than that, let me know. That's about what I know.
That's all. I got more than 14 final tables. Shit, I had 9 just the last 3 years. Maybe.
Well, so I don't know. Do you have more?
Fuck. Seems like I do.
But how many bracelets? 4?
Yeah.
That's good. It's not.
I usually make a final table every year. I gotta have 14 final tables.
Yeah.
Like no way.
Well, listen. Let me ask you a couple questions. People want to know about it. Tell us about the 2002 title. You mentioned this to me over D-Nigs. You said it was one of your proudest moments.
Well, 2002 was that tournament was really one of my proudest moments because I was kind of hooked on crystal meth, and so I decided that I was going to quit cold turkey. So I kind of was detoxing and was suicidal the whole tournament. So being able to,
Yeah.
being able to wean off of that and win that tournament. I'll never forget with 2 hours to go on day one, we're playing down on the final table, and I was like so suicidal. I was in the bathroom. I was screaming at my friends like I'm not going to make it, and they kind of got me through. And then the next day, it really wasn't as bad, and I kind of made it through. But no, I was always considered, probably still am considered, best Omaha 8 or better player in the world, or one of them. And so winning that title over D-Nigs was pretty sexy. I mean, he had a 5-1 chip lead, and so we were really good friends. And we went across the street to the
Four Queens.
The Four Queens Hotel. We ate in I forgot what the name of the restaurant was in the basement there, but it was like me, him, his mom, my mom, a couple of my friends.
Is that your mom behind you on the poster?
Which one?
The one over there,
Phil?
the WPT poster.
That's Phil.
Oh, okay, got it. I wasn't
That
sure.
looks like my mom. You
He's dressed
motherfucker.
like your mom. I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, go on.
That
please.
was when we had that. We stole that poster from Phil's roast, the WPT roast,
Okay.
and so it's him. It's basically him dressed up
As a baby.
with the baby fucking bottle and shit.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
You know, how
I get
Phil
it.
is. He's
I get it.
so we did that for our
Yeah. All right, so go on. You were with your moms. You just beat
Yeah,
D-Nigs.
so it was good, and Squirrel Rebecca actually filmed the whole final table. I actually talked to her the other day. I said, why don't you still have that film? I go, that film's probably worth a lot of money, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, let's see, that was 20 years ago. What did that make me? 34 years old. I was
You're 54, huh?
Yeah.
God, how
I was a babe.
good do I look at 56? I should call you every day.
I look just as good as you do, motherfucker.
I
but
should
didn't-
call you every single day on Zoom, just in the
Let
morning.
me
to get...
ask you something. Is that fucking beard not gray? Do you color it?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you color it too. Of
Yeah,
course
I
you
put a little in there.
Yeah, me too. Well, I didn't color mine today. So
Yeah,
now I
well,
look
whose
old,
problem
you
is
look
that?
young.
Hey,
You look
listen,
young, man.
you said recently to me that you have a tough time now with tournaments because you got injured. When did you get injured, and what was it?
But I had a really bad injury in 2014,
What is it?
where I was almost paralyzed, and so I had to learn how to walk again and everything.
How'd you do that?
And it was just a freak accident, and we didn't really know what caused it. And it took 6 months after the surgery to really understand what caused it and where it came from. And once we figured that out, I was able to put all the pieces together.
Mhm.
It'll all be out on my documentary that'll be coming out here on Hulu in a couple months.
How,
So
you mentioned that like when you get in like to day 3 or 4 of a tournament, you start to sputter out because of physical, like your physical.
Well,
situation.
okay, so like this year at the World Series, right? So day 3, late at night, I drew a really good table and was able to dominate the table and get a whole lot of chips going into day 4. But the dinner break, the pain was so bad. I was literally on the floor screaming and trying to get stretched out. And so then I called Jack and asked him if I could use a dealer's chair or one of the chairs from the 10K. See, like at the series this year, like the 10K chairs were really comfortable. So whenever I late reds, right, I would always make sure to tell the people pulling the tickets to give me one of the chairs in the 10K area because the regular chairs were just so hard on me. And it put me in a lot of pain.
Is it a hip injury, Mike?
No, it's a spinal cord injury. So, like when I Here's the situation. So I had a spinal cord injury. From the surgery, I developed something called intercostal neuralgia, and it's like it's a nerve disorder. And where they did the surgery right here behind my back, it's like the nerve is like what's the best way? A damage. It's a damaged nerve.
Yeah.
So when the nerve goes out of place, it causes like nerve pain all throughout my body here, and then it shoots down my leg into my foot. It's kind of debilitating. So what I do is, like, when I play in these tournaments, I get myself a scooter, and I have them, as soon as I pull up to like the valet, I give the bellman and the valet guys like $1,000, and they know who I am. So then as soon as I pull up, the guy waves at the bring my scooter, so I don't really have to walk. So what you do is you get me driving in, and I do all my logs and stuff, and then I just basically take the scooter basically almost to the table, so I'm not really moving very much, which allows me to play.
Yeah, so you do better. You do better if you're at like a WSOP because you're not pounding the walking and you can scoot around.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, like the World Poker Tour event, the championship coming up, they want me to play, and I want to play it because it is only. I don't play these re-entry events. I think that they've destroyed poker. I think they're an embarrassment to poker, and so that's my.
Well, I don't play tournaments, but I'll tell you, if I ever play one, you're talking about rebuys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a tournament player, so who cares what I think, but I do not like tournaments with there's a ton of rebuys. I like buy in once and let's go.
Listen, it's freeze outs. Here's what tournament poker did. Freeze outs are the great equalizer to the person who has all the money. Yeah. So when the amateur sits and I sit down, they have the same chance as I do, right? When you start giving people unlimited reentry and max late reg, they can buy in with 20 big blinds with 70% of the field out. I mean, tournament poker, stay alive long enough to give yourself a chance to get lucky.
Yeah.
And when they're letting the top players buy in with 15, 20 big blinds, and they can just buy in and then shove it, go broke, shove it again. I mean, they only have to double up twice. All of a sudden, boom, boom, and now they've got the same amount of chips as the guy that played for 10 hours.
Yeah, I don't like it. I agree.
So I'm really against it, but I've noticed that the people that are winning and are doing well are people that are max late regging. So I started to late reg a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm against it. I'm really against it. I mean, back in the up until about 2010, I'd say. Maybe in 2011. I mean, if you didn't show up on time, you didn't get to play. You know.
Yeah. No, I think that's way better. I don't, like I said, I don't play tournaments, but I've played a handful, and there's just something about the rebuy stuff. It just doesn't feel right. I won't do it. You know.
I mean, back in the day, everybody had to show up at noon, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be in your seat by like 12:15, and like the first 3 levels, there wasn't even an ante in there. So the people who like to play a lot of hands would get bored and just punt off their chips.
Right.
Because they didn't have the pay. See, people don't understand that there's a lot of different skill factors to poker, you know. Do you just come in there and attack blinds and antes, or can you sit there and change gears and fold for the first 2 hours and kind of trap a little bit and when it's costing you nothing around. But now that they've done away with all that, they've catered to the good players, and now you sit down. They start with an ante. You could show up late. Show up 8-9 hours late. I mean, what kind of a precedent?
Yeah,
what kind of precedent does it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know? Now you said that just a second ago. You said like back in the day. Tell me this, in your opinion. I guess it's a twofold question. Was poker easier back in the day when you were in your prime?
Phil, you looked at me. You looked like you might have like a big hand or something.
Oh, he's not done yet, Mike.
He might raise here.
Raise. I love you don't know if they have deuce 7 or aces. You know? It's so good for the game.
That's weird. They're talking about it, and he's got the 7 deuce.
And he raised the 7,000.
Into kings.
Dun, dun, dun. 2 of the greatest poker minds. You can talk.
It's not. Oh, yeah, we can. Yeah. Okay, give your line of BS.
Two of the greatest poker minds going at it. And what's BS
Mike
about
just
that, folks?
calls. Mike did not raise with his kings.
Already.
Yeah, get the 500. One of these guys has deuce 7 for sure.
Queen Jack 6 on the flop.
I love poker.
We got a roof for the guy that doesn't have it.
Right.
I like Hellmuth's check. I don't know why Mike checked.
They both have deuce 7.
Hellmuth checked because he's representing a big hand now. Has no idea Mike has kings.
17,000.
17,000.
I always bring socks.
I don't ever leave my house.
You want me to get you a pair of socks?
Mike has got to raise here,
Oh, wow. How can I call? Let me see what
They both have it.
but he's not going
No.
to. He just calls.
All right,
Wow,
boys.
today is your lucky day.
Mike's
kid.
afraid
I
of
swear
three
I was gonna
jacks,
call my
three
friend and
queens,
tell
or a
him
pair of
to
aces.
6 of clubs on the river.
Those are good too.
That's a great card for Mike. If Phil did have queens and jacks,
Downy friend.
Mike now has the
Make
best
sure and get
hand.
this, or all of us is
So those
wearing
3
my
hands I
socks.
mentioned, they're the only hands that Mike can't beat.
I love it.
I don't know. Maybe we're not.
I'm a little nervous. Things are happening.
Will Phil fire another bullet? Make that $500 from everybody at the table. It's a matter of pride also.
Yeah,
Being the first one to win the hand with deuce 7.
No problem.
it's amazing.
Wow, what a difference that makes. What do you got there, Mikey?
But I'm afraid whatever he bets, Mike's going to call him.
About 65,000.
40,000.
Wow.
Oh,
Mike's got to call. Just call.
I know Phil never makes the big bet on the river unless he has it. That's the thing. This sucks. No, he hit a 2-outer on me. There you go, Phil.
Turns the kings over, throws them away,
Show the
and
deuce 7
here it
and collect
comes.
500.
Oh my! That was the only thing I thought. That was the only thing I thought. That was the only thing I thought. He either had deuce 7.
The deuce 7 game is alive.
How can he fold kings that is so...
It's a new game today, boys. It's a new game.
Well, that was the only thing I was thinking is either he had the
Phil, you
deuce 7.
finally have respect. Right there, right there. That gave you a
I
lot of
finally have
respect.
respect. I crushed everybody in the world at No Limit for 20 years in side games and cash games. I finally have respect.
All right, well, you lost it, okay? You had it there for a second, now you lost it.
I think he still owes you 500.
I knew he had it.
Back on High Stakes Poker and when you were building your brand and yeah, how is it different? Is it easier and how is it different? Would you explain that?
That's a good, it's a really good question. I've been asked that question a lot. And I didn't play No Limit Hold'em from like 2006 to 2017. So it's 11 years I didn't play. And Phil kept telling me, play, you're still the best. You're still one of the best. And I was like, everybody plays good. Everybody plays good now. Wow, what a mistake I made. I wasted all those years because I don't think anybody plays better. I think, when I play these tournaments, especially these No Limits, I still believe I'm one of the best. I think I ran into 3 people I think who plays better than me, and I'm sure there's more, but the difference is this much, and they couldn't. It would take years to show the difference. So, the only difference, is in the old days, you just pick up the dead money, and now you have to fight for it. You have to fight the players for the dead money, and that's basically it. But when it all comes down to it, people can late reg with 20 big blinds or 15 big blinds, and then double, and now they got 45, 50 big blinds, and you go to a day 2, or definitely a day 3, and nobody has over 50 big blinds. That's a chip leader. So, the whole key is to maneuver, stay alive with around 50 big blinds, and give yourself a chance to get lucky.
How are the players different now in cash? Why are they so much better? Or do you even think they are?
To me, they're not, because I read really good. So now that I've been playing No Limit Cash since COVID started, since November of 2019. So we're talking exactly 3 years I've been playing just No Limit Hold'em. And I was playing 4 800 mixed games for I don't even know my whole life. Like I never played one handed no limit hold'em cash. I don't think except for when I was on high stakes poker from 2006 to like 2019. But once you start playing no limit cash, you get a really good feel. God, my feel is so good, and you just see things. And I look back now, and I just say I wish I would have stayed and played no limit cash all these years, because when you're good at no limit hold'em, you just print. You just print money. You just win. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just I used to think, oh no, mixed games are where it's at. They're all so bad at mixed games, and I disagree now. I think if you're just good at no limit, you print.
Yeah.
Now, if you're good at PLO, you also print, but you're going to swing a lot.
Yeah, the variance.
Because you're only in PLO. You're a rock star if you're getting it in 60% every time. You know.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
What's 60%?
That's a crazy living.
Yeah, I mean, I play no limit hold'em. I'm getting it in 75, 80%. You know, sometimes I get it in 65%. You know, but I mean, I like getting in 2-to-1 favorite. You know, I don't like. But PLO is probably you make the most money, but you're also going to swing the most. And no limit hold'em, you make the most money without swinging. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I maybe I ran really good. I don't know. You know, I just don't take the small edges. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I see a spot where I'm pretty sure I'm ahead, but it's like a 60, I just don't take the small edges and no limit hold'em. I pick up lots of small pots with my image, and then I try and get it in 2-to-1 favorite.
So speaking of that style, what you just explained, which is picking up small pots. So tell me what you think of this. Back in the day when high stakes poker was going, and it was, you were in your prime then, and Phil was playing, and all the OGs like D-Negs and Antonio, and we can go on with all the rest, Sammy. The game seemed different. Like here's what I mean by that. Like you were watching poker and people appreciated it and really liked it. And then, of course, Tom Dwan stepped in and brought that new style of play to poker. And you could correct me if you think that's wrong, but a new style of play, and he became very popular because of his aggressiveness and he was so wide open in pre-flop. And so I guess my question to you is now. And again, this is not a dig. This is just, and again, if you don't feel this, tell me differently. But it seems like now, like, even his game is, maybe because he's, I don't know, not taking it as serious, but the players.
Tom Dwan plays as fucking tight as I do now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Let's put it that way.
He plays like you now, right? Or I don't want to say me, but someone that doesn't play like that. So I guess what my question is it just become a thing to where, like, if you're a player like Eric Persons, or you're a player like, how can I be thinking of Keating? Like, these are the players that people want to watch because it's the crazy poker, right? They're putting on a show. But someone like yourself and your mom behind you there, Phil, like, you guys take a lot of shit for being antiquated, or poker has run you over, or you're no longer relevant, or you can't compete.
Nick,
so take that from there, because that's
Nick,
out there.
Nick, I'll say it once, I'll say it twice. Right. Tight is right. Got it?
Questions.
Right.
The answers are yours. You tell me.
When Tom Dwan came in and was playing. And he'll tell you this, if you interview Tom, he'll tell you this. Like, the way he used to play before, he'll tell you, I ran like God. Like, he would just, like, 3-bet the deuce 5 offsuit, get 4-bet by aces, and flop deuce 5.
Yeah, people love that shit.
He ran so good, And so it looked like, he was doing things other people weren't doing, right? But when it all comes down to it, yeah, you got to mix it up a little bit, but here's the thing. Up until 2011, okay, so when let's just say 2010, whatever, when they closed down all the internet places, except for playing on high stakes poker, which we would buy in sometimes 250 big blinds deep. Like, nobody bought in more than like 200,000, and I was playing 400, 800. Mm-hmm. No, there was really no deep stack poker. Nobody was And here, and again, this is, I'm not trying to knock anybody for it, but as long as Garrett can buy in for 1,000 big blinds and have the table covered at all times, he could lose 4 fucking pots in a row and get stacked, put a thought, cover everybody again, win one, and be even.
Right.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Of course,
money is power. And so there was, again, and I'm not trying to knock him in any way or anybody, but if you play in a high stakes game where one person can always cover the table, that one person is always going to get the money. There's a reason why the online games, whether it was, okay, if you're playing 10, 20, you can buy in 2,000, 100 big blinds, quarter 50, 5,000, 50, 100, 10,000. Those are the most you could buy in for online.
Yeah.
Was 100 big blinds.
It was an even playing field bankroll-wise.
When you're playing 100 big blinds deep, it's a whole different game. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'll play anybody 100 big blinds deep, and so will Phil Hellmuth. You see what I'm saying? So the only difference is I've learned how to play deep, okay, where Phil struggles to play deep, okay?
Yeah.
That's why you always see Phil not wanting to play deep, because he doesn't want to lose big money. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get, and even back in the day, right, when during the high stakes poker, right, I'd buy in for 100K, I'd double, and then I'd say, okay, guys, see you guys later. I'll have a nice day. I go, I'm not going to play 500 big blinds deep with you guys, because people don't understand. Poker's about making money. It ain't about seeing who's got the bigger dick and who cares? Yeah. I don't give a fuck who's better than me. I don't care. I want to get the fucking money.
Right.
I want to win. I want to put myself in a position to win. And I'm just going to win and win and win and win. Right? When you play, people are sitting there. What do people do? They attack you. Oh, Lord, look at this win percentage. Look at Nick Vertucci's got this great win percentage. He must be cheating. No, he plays in games where he's the fucking best player or one of the top 2 best players, and he fucking wins. That's what fucking poker's about. Poker ain't about seeing who. That's why, I don't want to say this, but they wanted me to play a no gamble, no future yesterday, right? And I looked at the lineup, and I had committed to it. And then I talked to Ryan, and Ryan's like, well, that lineup sucks. And those 2 people they said that are fish cakes are really good players. Now, it's hard for me to get up, get dressed, go down there. So I'm like, I ain't going to go down there and play this fucking lineup. I go, if I'm going to go down and play live in a lineup, I'm going to come to L.A. and play on the Hustler Casino live show with Nick and Ryan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, that's not trying to say that I'm scared to play against good players. Poker's not about playing against good players. It's about winning money. It's about being the best player or one of the top 3 best. Somebody, they told me this about 4 years ago, and I took it to heart. If you're always the top 3 best player in the game, you're always going to win the money, which is it. Yeah. So, my whole life, I thought I was best in the world. Nobody could beat me in any game, right? So if it was 3-handed, I sat down with it. 4-handed, 2-handed, head up, you name it. Somebody challenged me to play, I sat, right? And I did good. I held my, I made money. I've only had 3 losing months playing live poker my whole life. And one was because I went broke and didn't have money to get it back. And I tell people that story, and they laugh at me and think I'm lying or whatever, but it's just fact, okay? And but one of the things I learned about 5 years ago is stop worried about being better than everybody. Stop thinking you're the best, and just start sitting in games where you're always the best.
Yeah.
So I quit playing the 24-hour sessions, the 36-hour sessions.
Right.
And I just started playing where whatever the stakes were, I was one of the top 3 players. If I sat in a game, I got invited to a private game, and the private game wasn't good, I'd play an hour, I'd go home, right? If I played and the lineup was what I was promised, I'll put in my hours. And it's allowed me to have 5 losing weeks in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And
well, Mike, the thing is this.
That's maturity.
Yeah.
That's all that
yeah.
Say.
Well, and that leads me to some questions down the line, not right now, but I reluctantly take the bait on this because no matter let me finish this too. No matter what I say these days, if I say nothing, I get hammered. If I say anything in regards to a comment you made earlier about me winning, I get hammered. They'll probably take snippets out of this and bury me and whatever. So I have to be very careful to not look defensive. At the same time, be able to engage a person in a conversation. And it's
I know you and you play fucking good. Okay, I'm not saying you're a great player. Okay,
yeah,
but you put yourself in lineups where you're always the top 3 player in the game.
Right.
I mean, if you fucking sat there and you played the Garrett, Andy, fucking with the 3 great players every.
Well, let me spit this out.
200 game, you're probably gonna break even or lose a little.
I'll probably break even at best. And let me spit this out. So it's like this. This is what everyone's having a tough time or putting their heads around because there's just, no one digs as deep into it. But, when I started playing at the bike in 2017, 18, 19, I was the mark. Okay. Ryan built that game around me. I was a I was a businessman making a lot of money, and I would come one day a week. I eventually played 2 days a week, but I would come one day a week, and I didn't even know I was competing with the best in fucking LA, right? Like Art, Garrett, Andy, I could keep naming him, Brian Kim.
Well, I remember. I mean, you just didn't get away from hands. I mean, and now you just do.
So let me finish this.
Learn.
So it's like I realized about 3 months into it that I didn't know shit about poker, but it didn't really matter. I was a businessman. I had a lot of money, and I wanted to bang it up playing 200, 400, or 248, or 124, whatever it was. So I want to make this point because I know you got a big mouth and you're gonna cut me off. So let me say this. So it's crazy because when Ryan and I decided to get this show, during COVID, there was a lot of poker played, and again, I just hate saying this because people are like, oh, is it just because really you went into the lab? No, listen, I literally studied poker for over a year and a half, almost every day with one of the best poker pros in the world. I pay him 12% of my winnings, everybody.
I didn't know that.
Well, 12 fucking % of everything I win. And I'm getting that out there now so people understand. And I don't want to say this because everyone I play with, these guys are my friends. I fucking love these guys and I play with them, but it is a game that's beatable and I'm putting in the work. But here's the other thing that I want to...
It's not only this, that...
Well, hold on one second. But here's the other thing. And people say, why are you not playing on Fridays when everyone is 3, 4, 5, 600K deep? Do you just not have...
I just answered that question.
Hold on, I know, but I want to compound on that. Here's what I tell them. Yeah, of course Fridays are for my family, but that could be an excuse if I really want to. That could just be an excuse if I really wanted to play those games. I play 2 to 4 times a week. I'm retired, semi-retired. I run a poker show. Yes, I have a lot of money. I'm set, but I am not generating millions of income, right? So I don't want to go on a Friday and donk off 500,000 because I'm going to come back. And if I don't get a seat in the next Friday games because they're coveted, I'm going to come back, play a 5-5 Tuesday game. And where am I going to grind that back? So for me, I've like you just said, I've set into a comfortable pattern. I play 2 or 3 times a week. I'll play the 25-51 or 1-2 sometimes. I'll play the 5-5 ante game, which plays like a 100-200, which people don't understand because they're looking at the blinds. And so for me, that's just the groove I'm in. And, I've done well. So go on.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like, listen, and there's, I'm not going to name names, but people on other podcasts and people that are talking a lot of shit. They want to yap about what.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I
don't want to name names because you, but I fucking stick up for you because I said, listen, motherfuckers. This is what I said. I said, when you put up 500 fucking grand or whatever to fucking start your own motherfucking business. You could fucking do whatever the fuck you want. If you don't like Nick playing on the show every day, go start your own motherfucking stream and you could play on the show every day.
What's the crazy thing, Mike, is that somebody put up that money tracker thing and that's why everyone's focused on it. But guess what? Doug Polk plays on his show. Andrew Nemi, Brad Owen, they play on their show. JJ and what's his nuts, Wayne play on their show. It's not an issue. The only reason it's an issue
is with you because you sit there and you get. Here's what the issue it is. It's because they're fucking all jealous motherfuckers. This is what poker players are. They're jealous-hearted motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You hear fucking again. I don't want to name names, but
I don't want. I'm trying to bury my beefs. I made a lot of mistakes.
But they're jealous because they're not big. They're top pros and they can't get on a fucking Hustler Casino live show and play every week.
Well, they could if they could if they were nicer. But I'm glad you're not naming names because I, during this whole Jack 4 scandal thing, I have made a ton of mistakes, cost me a ton of relationships. I came out fighting and kicking and defending my.
I understand.
But I fucked up. But the thing is, Mike, is if I would have stayed quiet, then I would have been hiding. So it's like a no-win situation. But I'm glad. I don't want to name names because I'm literally trying to resurrect the beefs. I've apologized to people like Matt Berkey for doing what I did because I still don't agree with a ton of shit
on social media.
Yeah, I still don't agree with a ton of things, but
I understand.
But I own my aggressiveness and my mistakes. I've recently called Joey Ingram.
That's good. See,
I've recently called Joey
too.
Ingram, and not that we had a beef, but we had a little bit of disorderly conduct back and forth, and I made it good with him because nobody understands what a tough time it is to be defending something you love, not defending it like blindly, because if there's something going on, like Brian did what he did, I outed him, but I'm saying even defending your own integrity, like it's like a no-win situation. If you're quiet, it's because you're guilty and you're hiding. If you're
if you never did that, they would have fucking not known shit and wouldn't have been even a crazier. But you were just trying to be open about it. And listen, there's people who call me, people that don't know that much about poker, but they watched the show.
Yeah.
And then they started bringing up, well, maybe this person's cheating and this person's cheating and this. Oh, I've seen these charts, and I just go crazy. I'm like, listen to me. I've known Nick and Ryan forever. I play in a fucking private game with Ryan every fucking day. We're very good friends. I know this kid more than anybody in the world, okay? I mean, beside you probably. I said, and I will defend them to the death.
Yeah.
And I've got a very good reputation in poker. I mean, people know that I went through some problems where I owed people a lot of money, and I got in a really tough spot after my injury, but everybody knows I pay everybody back, and there's still a couple more people I owe, and that'll be it. But like I've got a very well liked in poker. I don't, people on the rail and Twitterverse, whatever, they'll talk shit about me, but in the poker world, there won't be one person say bad thing about me. And that's because they know that I've got a good heart. I care about people. I care about the world. I care about.
I can confirm that you're one of the nicest guys I know. That's the truth. Yeah.
And hey, going back to that, you knew me for what, 1 hour, and you loaned me $20,000 one day.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't even know me because you knew right away what kind of person.
Well, that was back at the bike and
2017 or something.
Yeah, it's 2017, and I did that. And do you remember? Like a couple days later, I came to the bike to collect, and you sat down and you just got felted. I sat down like waiting because you were in the game, and you got felted, and you're like, okay, I'm going to buy in for like this much. And I'm like, no, this much. You go, oh shit, that's right. And you just,
I totally forgot.
You snap paid me. So yeah, you did. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, and a lot of people don't understand, is because of my injury and the medications that I'm on, is my memory is so bad. Now, I quit smoking pot August 26th of this year, so it's been over 3 months. August.
That's good.
Over 3 months, almost 4 months, and it's really helped a lot my memory. And
people don't understand how it does affect you if you smoke too. Like they think it's because it's organic, all that, but there's really an effect on it if you do it a lot.
Yeah, and I started smoking pot. I never smoked pot in my life, and I'd done a lot of drugs in the early 2000s, but pot always made me paranoid. But then when the pain was so bad, and I was struggling so bad, I'll never forget, 2017 World Series of Poker, this girl I knew hands me a joint, says, why don't you try and take in this? And because I was struggling to sleep. And she gave me that, and I made 6 final tables, 5 10K final tables in 2017. Got robbed in 2 of them. That's why I know I made more than 14. I made 5 that year. I made 3 like 2 years ago. So, but
okay.
So I'm like, oh wow, this is. See, I would always have problems sleeping because, from the drug use I did in the early 2000s, my memory was, to be sharp was really hard, so I had to take Adderall to focus.
Yeah.
Well, when you take Adderall and you struggle to sleep, for Adderall to work at a high level, you must sleep. And I wasn't sleeping. And once she gave me the pot and I started sleeping, I made 5 final tables and played at this really high level. So then I smoked pot every day from the World Series of 2017 to August of this year. But I was always trying to get off of it. And I had gotten off for a month twice, and the pain was so bad. So you got to understand the CBD in the pot really helps with the pain.
Yeah, I believe that.
And so, but I kept thinking to myself, well, maybe it's just a coincidence. But how is it a coincidence that your pain levels just go through the roof every time as soon as the cannabinoids are off of your brain?
Right.
But this time I told myself, I don't care how much pain I'm in, I'm going at least 60 days. And I did it. And my intuition is, see, what people don't get about poker, like so many people, they're so about solvers and they're so about, running simulations and stuff, is the best poker players in the world have like Shaun Deeb. Okay. People might not like Shaun Deeb. He's an asshole to most people, but he'll admit he's an asshole. He don't care.
Yeah.
He's a once in a lifetime generation. He's a once in a generation talent. Why? Because he has great intuition.
Right.
Okay. And when I quit smoking pot, my intuition, which was always good, became the intuition that I had my whole life. And now all of a sudden, I'm playing at this really high level the last 3 months. I see things. I'm seeing things outside the box. And it's allowed me to really do great things. And again, I'll say it. People could say whatever they want. When Phil Hellmuth folds ace jack of spades for 1 bet and 5 bets the 3-8 of clubs, and then check calls the 3-8 of clubs on a fucking jack 10 blank board and then rips a fucking turn, this isn't luck, okay? He sees things. He has intuition. He sees weakness on Daniel, okay? He sees the strength on Daniel. Again, I'm not here to build up Phil. Phil's got a lot of his own weaknesses.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute, but go on.
But like, you'll hear the GTO fucking players like, you can't pull ace jack of spades for 1 bet.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked Phil afterwards, and because me and Phil talk a lot of poker. He don't talk poker with anybody. Me and him talk. He's the only one he talks poker with. Me and him talk a lot. And I asked him, why did you fold the ace jack of spades? And his answer was so fucking amazing. Is Daniel had 3-bet him the exact same quickness about 20 minutes earlier and showed him dog shit. Okay. So now he knows Daniel. He's never going to 3-bet him with the exact same quickness, the exact same amount with a shit hand the second time back. He said, I knew when he showed me the king 10 offsuit or whatever, or king 9 offsuit, I think it was, that the next time that he raised me that amount, it was going to be nutted.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he had ace queen.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like this generation, the current poker players, again, they're very, very versed with the mathematics and the solvers and the everything else, and it's a big part of poker for sure. But there are some players that are missing.
Take the human element.
Yeah, they're missing.
Element is so important.
They're missing the human element and the instinctual part of it. And to be honest with you, Mike, some players just don't have that. That's a gift.
Correct. That is the talent. That's what we call talent. That's a gift. It's a God-given gift. I call it talent. Right. So, okay, again, I'll give you an explanation of intuition and a gift. Right. So I have had a chance to win a Survivor contest the last 2 weeks. I've been put in this once in a lifetime spot 2 weeks in a row where there was 4 of us left. First place is 133. It was 177, but we chopped 12,000 each. And all 3 of them on a Sunday night game had the same team, and mine was already in. Well, it was 2 weeks ago where Kansas City was like a 14-point favorite. Well, Tennessee gets out in front, and it looks like Tennessee's dominating them. Well, I was able to make a real big bet on Kansas City, right? Where if Kansas City win, what I did is I took the 30,000, layoff. So now I was going to win 103. Okay. Or if Kansas City was to win, I pick up 30,000 and I'm still in the survivor, because if their side won, I wasn't out. See what I'm saying? So I had basically I could free roll whatever I wanted, right? And so then the same thing happens last week, where they all had Frisco on a Sunday night game, and I had the Chargers, and the Chargers got out front 13-3, and I was able to lay off and hedge again. Okay. The point I brought this up is, yeah, that was a great, I picked up like 50K. I still have a shot at the 133. But I'm going to go back to intuition. When I was making my pick last 2 weeks ago, when the Kansas City came up, I decided to take Philadelphia on a short week against Houston. And I did it because I looked and I saw Washington was playing Philly the following week. Well, I knew a Monday night division game, right, that this, with Washington's whole season on the line, was going to be a really tough spot. I said to myself, I told my friend Ben, Washington is going to beat Philly in 2 weeks. I'm taking them this week. And I saw it. When we talk about seeing things outside the box, I saw this. Well, unfortunately, we were in the circuit contest with 90 people to go, and my two partners insisted on taking Philadelphia. I went completely crazy on them. I said, take any team but Philly. My intuition, I see it. They're going to lose this game. I see it. And they didn't listen to me. We're now out of the circuit contest. The point is I'm trying to make is the ability to see things that other people don't see. And I saw this, and I see things at the poker table that other people don't see. And there's not a solver in the world that takes the human element in. If you follow the survivor chart, which they were following, that survivor chart says this is the week with what we had left that you take Philly, right? And they argued with me. If I showed the text messages of the back and forth, of course now they're like, I should have listened to you, Mike. Man, we're so sorry. We won't do it again. Won't do it again. We just had a 1 in 87 chance at $6.3 million. You think that shit just rolls around every day? You know what I'm saying? And when I'm at the table, I see things, and this is also why I struggle a lot of times playing online. And I don't struggle in a game I play online with, I play with the same players. So once I see, but if I go and play online with different players, I don't see it. But when I'm playing live and I look at them and I watch the way they put their chips in, I watch the way they react to their hand, I see things, just like Phil sees things. And that is Shaun Deeb sees things. And you're never going to be all the great poker players have intuition.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I often get in discussions with the person I mentioned that I study with, and he recognizes that my instincts are probably my biggest strength. My mathematics and my memorization of like solvers are not. But we often get in a lot of debates too, because there are sometimes I do things on instincts and I get hammered by him respectfully, because it's like, it doesn't matter how you feel in this case, you have to do this. And we often go back and forth on it, because I'm like, well, not with this guy. Not with this player, not in this spot, not when he's at this stage in the 6 hours we're playing and he's stuck 60 ball, so yeah, there's a lot to that. I agree with that, and you got to find the balance between that. But the great players do have instincts, and I'm not a great player.
Even online, right?
Yeah.
I'm playing, and we're playing with the same people, and I see a hesitation and then a certain size, right? And when that certain player does that certain hesitation at a certain size, he has it every time or he doesn't. And the human element, okay, when they're playing, they don't see it.
Yeah.
Okay, the human element makes it. We're all human. Okay, back in the day when I was crushing poker, Where did I make all my money? I made it on fucking exploiting people's bet size. When in 2006, card runners taught everybody bet sizing, they destroyed No Limit Hold'em.
Yeah.
Now, if they could have taught everybody, you could teach anything about No Limit Hold'em, but don't teach bet sizing, because like when people had aces, they would bet small. When they had ace king, they would bet big.
Yeah.
And so I would just look at people and I would like sit at the table for 20 minutes, study them, and then I would know what they had every time. Just like people bring up the Greg Raymer hand in 2004. Greg Raymer, when he went to re-raise, right? If he put his glasses on, and I think he looked, I think it was straight at you and 3-bet you big, it was like ace jack or ace queen. If he put his glasses on and put his head down, it was like ace king, aces or kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to remember, back then nobody was like 3-betting light and shit like that.
Yeah.
The only ones that did that were all the top players. So I knew what he had, and that hand when he had the ace jack, the one that crippled me, is I called. I was chip leader. He was third in chips, and he 3-bet me big, and I knew it was ace jack. I knew it, right? And I said, I call this like 10x re-raise with 7-9 of spades, telling myself, if it doesn't come an ace jack or queen, I'm taking this pot.
I remember the hand.
Right?
He hated your
so
guts. He hated your guts after this hand.
Yeah, when it came 10-9 blank and he moves in, which shocked the fuck out of me that he moved in, because remember, we were top 3 fucking chips. He was third in chips. I was chip leader. And I said, all I thought about was the Carlos Mortensen hand in 2001, where I knew he was bluffing. And we can go back and talk about that if you want. And I just didn't. I said, I made this mistake against Carlos. I'm not going to make this mistake again. And back then, it was tape delayed. But it was like a 4-minute decision. And I'm just like, please God, don't let me be wrong. Please God, don't let me be wrong. I know I'm not wrong. And I looked him right in the eye. I go, I know you got ace jack. I fucking know you got ace jack. Right? And I called, and he had ace jack, but he had ace jack and diamonds, and there's 2 diamonds on the board. And as soon as I saw that, my heart fell to the ground.
Yeah.
Because if he only has ace jack, I'm 4-1 fucking favorite.
Right.
And of course, he hits the diamond right on the fucking turn, and I got crippled. Now I fought back, and I got it in ace king and ace queen, and the queen came on the river to knock me out. Now that's how I play poker. I play poker with intuition and feel, and I see things. And the last event of the series this year that I got 30th in, I just tripled up with aces, and I had a big stack. I had like 40 bigs and a turbo. And this is where I started thinking about, I had 20, whatever it was. Yeah. I started thinking about what the solver people were saying, right? So this guy, Henrik, I forgot his last name, but he plays the super high rollers. And I had played with him. First time I played with him was like 2 days earlier, and I knew he was a great player. And I even said, are you the Henrik that plays the high rollers? He said, yeah. I knew right away. You could see who great players are, right? And so he raises under the gun, and I 3x him on the button with ace king, and then he just 4-bet rips. And my gut says he's got aces.
Yeah.
Right. But then I started thinking about, and this is why I started thinking about the solver people and the GTO people. Oh, well, it's 16 big blinds. You can't fold ace king for 16 big blinds. Right. But I also said to myself, what hand is he raising in the 1 hole? I'm fucking min raising on the butt with a big stack that just showed aces, that he doesn't have aces or kings, right? Now, if I just follow my instincts, is what I talk about, instead of thinking about what the solver and the GTO people think, I fold this hand. And instead I call, he shows me 2 kings. And I said, well, if it's my day, I'm going to hit an ace. If it's yours, I'm not. Of course, the flop came king high, and the hand was over. Now, that hand brought me from all the momentum and 40 big blinds back down to like 22 big blinds. And I believe if I would have just followed my gut, I might have won this tournament. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now I do come back. I run the chips back up, and then there comes a really unbelievable hand. Now Seidel ends up getting third in this tournament for like 40K. So, but he started the hand. I started the hand with like 16 bigs. He started the hand with like 22 bigs, and a guy opened. And I was just telling the story about the ace king versus king's hand, right? And a guy opens, shoves for like 240K, which was like 8 bigs. Seidel cold calls 240. I now rip it for 590. And Eric looks at me, he goes, I'm in the same spot you were just in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I knew right then Eric had ace king.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. Well,
so
you know, go ahead.
So I call, and you know, this hand bothered me for 2 months because I know if I win the hand,
yeah,
I'm going to finish. Eric got third. He didn't even win the hand. Okay. If I win the hand or if I chop with Eric, I'm at the final table minimum.
Totally.
And so now the flop came down 8, 9, 10 of clubs. Now the guy who moved all in had ace 7 of spades. Eric had ace king, and I had ace king with the ace of clubs. So it came 8, 9, 10 of clubs on flop.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a massive flop for me, right? So the one guy has an offsuit jack, an offsuit 6, or a 7 hand. So he had 8 outs. I had 9 outs. Eric had no outs. If me and Eric hold, we pick up 200,000 apiece. And if I hit a club, I'm sitting on 30 big blinds with 1.2 million, with average being about 700. So, you know, I brought this hand up because I'm talking about going back to intuition. I'm trying to bring up a hand, go back to the mistake that I had made.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I started thinking about the solver people.
Yeah, you're right.
Can't fold.
No, I struggle sometimes with the same decisions. And back to your point about sizing, that's like one of the first things that I had to work on when I started really working hard, studying. And I look back on it, and I was that guy. If I had aces, I bet light, I did this, I did that. And you're so face up that it's so Correct. Easy to pick you off. Let me ask you this. You mentioned Shaun Deeb. After that incident on Poker After Dark or whatever it was, did he roll you with
that
set,
was poker. That was day one of Poker Night in America.
That's what it was.
Now,
yeah. Are you guys friends after that? Did you make up?
He has literally apologized to me about that hand. A minimum of $300.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, because we're good friends, and he knew. I always tell him, you can make fun of me, you can do whatever you want, just don't slow roll me. I think slow roll has no place in poker. I think it's disgraceful. I think it's bad etiquette for the game.
I agree.
I think, I mean, to me, it's almost like, it's like stealing second base in baseball with a 14-0 lead. Okay, you know if you do,
or you're up
if
40,
you do that,
you're up 45-0 in football, and you throw a bomb.
Like when Pete Carroll was had the USC teams up 35-0, he's throwing 80-yard touchdown passes. You know, you're gonna pay for that one day.
Yeah.
You know, because there's just no reason for it. So, you know, the only thing like in poker, the thing that I hold really dear to me is people who slow roll. I think the young kids, they don't even understand. You know, like I was playing on full tilt one day. This guy head up. I think it was 50, 100, no limit. Maybe been quarter 50, whatever. And raise, he 3-bets me, and I just 4-bet jam with kings. And this motherfucker used every single time bank down to 1 second and called and had aces. And he laughed, thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, not funny.
And the truth of the matter is like there's just no reason for it. Like the game, respect the game. There's so many things like, and there's the one thing that I and we and Phil talk about all the time is like I don't want to say like, it wasn't for me. But if it wasn't for me, Phil, Ivey, Howard, Chris Ferguson, Carlos Moritz at Huxley. If it wasn't for all of us that had Mike Sexton, number one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. We started off the World Poker Tour with 25 of us. First event, Bellagio, 50 of us, whatever it was. Second event, Reno. I remember we went to Reno and then we all sat in a room together watching the first episode of the World Poker Tour. Now, I finished ninth in that event. TV table was sixth. We built poker to where it is today. There would be, if it wasn't for the vision of Mike Sexton and Phil Hellmuth, people wouldn't be making millions and millions of dollars today off of poker. There would be no poker to make money. And the fact that they talk down to Phil the way they do, and they talk down to me, is, do you think like in any other sport, the people that came before that paved the way for them to make millions of dollars, that people would say bad things about? And again, I'm not saying do I believe that I should be in the Hall of Fame? I should have been in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago. It's a fucking joke. Okay. But that's beside the point. I don't care about that shit. I cared about it when my father was alive because I wanted to be in the Hall of Fame for my father before he passed away. And the fact that they put people in the Hall of Fame that if I played 1,000 times, fucking head up with them, they lose 900 of them. They put people in the Hall of Fame that are just it's just, to me, it's a joke. And the Hall of Fame is all political. It's all a joke. Whatever benefits the World Series of Poker at that time. I mean, it is what it is, and I don't care.
Well, let me say this, Mike. Let me get it out. I got a statement to say, and then ask you something. I agree with you. I am often befuddled by the nastiness in the poker industry. And listen. There is no doubt the game has evolved. There is no doubt there could be a case made for different styles and what's better to watch, etc. Listen, that's fine. But the bottom line is that most of us grew up watching you guys that you mentioned and more pave the way. And so when I see guys on the internet or on the mic bashing you or bashing Phil, and Phil asked for it too. We'll talk about that. But still, it's like, it's disgusting because you guys did, and I mean it, you guys did so much for poker.
If it wasn't for Mike Sexton and Phil Hellmuth, these are the two.
I believe it.
There would be, you could say moneymaker effect, whatever. You don't understand. Phil was marketing himself. Well, at first it was Emerald Slim, right? He was the one that really, really marketed the most. Then he had that big thing with his granddaughter, so he had to be pushed aside or whatever. But Phil and Mike Sexton, I mean, I was all along for the ride, but I didn't push the TV part of it.
Yeah,
they were so
very smart of them.
Phil and Mike Sexton are the reason poker is the way it is
How
today.
I look at it is this, is no matter how much the game has evolved or what you think of somebody else's game in the past or whatever it is, it's almost like you're taught respect, like as a kid, like your elders, respect the generation before you and just appreciate what it was then and what it did for you now.
Everybody should come up to Phil Hellmuth and say thank you. Thank you for making poker, for giving me the ability to make money. Because I mean, they're never going to do that.
But you don't understand, okay? Mike, you don't understand. Most people, I think a lot of the people that are on the mic should understand this, but a lot of people out there it bypasses them. They're the younger generation. They don't understand what actually happened. And so they're hearing a lot of the noise that's coming out of people with mics. They're hearing a lot of the stuff. They're seeing the way Phil plays or you play. It's the truth. And they're seeing the way this is happening and they're being entertained like this. So they don't understand the true value of what happened. And even if you don't want to watch Phil Hellmuth play any more high-stakes poker, or you don't want to watch Mike Matusow, fucking be nice, like, and at least respect the grind and what was done before then. And you can choose not to watch that or choose not to have them in that game. That's fine, because maybe now entertainment has taken the place of the poker, the true poker, right? So that's cool. Like that, no doubt about it. Like, I get why that's the case, but I don't understand.
Poker is about entertainment.
Yeah, I know, but I don't understand the disrespect. And so that, for me, I just never understood. But leads me to this question. Okay, so we talked about Phil. He's behind you there in a baby outfit. But here's the thing.
And he is a fucking baby.
Yeah, I know he is. But listen, he's created like, I interviewed him. He was one of the toughest interviews I had because of his ego. Now, listen, I've said this on the podcast, and I say it all the time privately. I like Phil. You know why I like Phil? Not because I like Phil to be in a conversation with him, because I get dominated, and it's bragging, and it's, it's his resume, right? But Phil, at the core of him, which I got to know a little bit, is a really nice person, and he cares more for people than a lot of these other people that are bashing him. So I like Phil a lot.
The thing is, I also get how they bash him. Like me and his friend, his friend Ferraro, he's known for like 30 years from Wisconsin. I've become pretty good friends with all those Wisconsin people, right? Yeah. And like we'll talk. He's like, man, if I ain't known Phil for 25 years and just met him, I punch him in his fucking
no shit.
Right?
Even when you're watching him, the generation watching him hates him because of his behavior, but they just don't get it.
And the thing is and again, you go back to the Trump effect, right? Is narcissism. And I'm not saying Phil's a narcissist, but
I think Phil's got some narcissistic tendencies, bro.
Some narcissist,
yeah. Believe me, you can't say he's not.
I don't believe he's complete. Phil wants to be loved. Okay, Phil wants everyone to love him. Phil wants. When Phil got called out for last time for buying in, for having like 5,000 on the table and everybody had 300.
Yeah.
And the ribbing they took.
Well, that was a little excessive, won't you think? The 5,000.
I don't want to really talk about our private phone calls, but like, he was really hurt. He's like, everybody always wanted to watch me play poker. Now they want to watch Keating, Persons. I'm like, Phil, it's not that they don't want to watch you play poker. They want to watch a bunch of fucking lunatics fucking put in, like,
of course,
it's
more fun to watch.
And the thing is like, and I'm very good friends with Keating too. I talked to him yesterday, and Keating does things for a reason. Like, Keating rebuys 150, and then he has 9-4 offsuit, and he puts 150,000 on 9-4 offsuit. And he laughs about it.
Right.
Okay? And Phil could do that if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. But Phil and me are a lot alike when it comes to this. We're not hustlers, okay? And I'm not saying that Keating's a hustler. Okay, don't get me wrong. But Keating does things for a reason, okay? I can't stand it. I can't dump 300,000 to make $1 million in the long. I just can't do it. I hate to lose. Phil Hellmuth hates to lose 100 times more than I hate to lose.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
So
I'm in that category too, which puts me in your category and his category. I'm the same way. Yeah. I could have millions of dollars, which I might, but I just cannot go for entertainment to go donk off $500,000. Even if it's, like you said, gonna gain me whatever. I can't do it. I hate to lose. You can ask if anyone knew who I worked with. I'm on suicide watch after 3 or 4 losing sessions.
Now, if I was sitting on the money I had back in the day when poker was flowing, and I see that's how it is now, I might dump 500,000-600,000 maybe to put myself in position to get into some private games, because unfortunately, one of the worst things that's ever happened to poker in the last 10 years is private games, and the ability to be a professional poker player and not be able to make a living because you can't get in a private game.
It's true. The politics is ridiculous in that.
It's really, really bad. And I really believe this, and I believe it to the death do our part, is for casinos to allow private games is so wrong. If people want to play in a private games up in Veer or in Towers, whatever they play in, all these private games, let them play. But to come into a Aria or Bellagio and say, sorry, you can't play. This is
well. Let me tell you a story. Let me finish it too, because I know you got a big mouth. But let me finish this, okay? So it's like, believe it or not, I'm more new to the poker scene than anyone thinks, because for years when I was playing as a businessman. I had no idea about the politics of poker. I didn't understand any of the stuff. I didn't even know I was the mark. Okay. I just didn't know anything. I just was seeing cards and clicking some buttons. Right. And as I'm getting into this, even as of like last year, I didn't really understand the politics of poker with what you just mentioned in like private games. And I'll tell a story and I'll name this person, but I mean it in a nice way because she's right. But you know Danielle Anderson?
Yeah,
she's an amazing person, right? I like her.
We play together.
Yeah, you play together.
She's a great networker. She knows.
She's awesome, right? Well, she runs a game somewhere in Vegas, and it's in the area somewhere, or do something. And I was there with Ryan, okay? Now, this is how naive I am. I play how I play. I don't go in to try to get the seat for the next day. I don't even know that exists. And this is like a year or two ago, whatever it was.
Oh, I remember. I know what they were talking about.
And so
I couldn't get in the game that day for a reason.
Yeah. Okay. So I play whatever. And then like the next day, like Ryan's going to go play again. And this is where Ryan and I differ. This is back like different generations or different thought process. So Danielle, I don't know her other than meeting her there and maybe some online stuff. And she's like, no offense, Ryan, but like your buddy can't play. And I'm like, and Ryan's like, hey dude, I hate to break it to you. You can't. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why can't I play? And he's like, well, you don't give any action this way, and you don't take shots when they do, and you don't do this and you don't do that. I said, well, I don't want to drink. So I don't want to take a shot. And he goes, well, you kind of got to like do these things to get these seats. And I go, well, wait a minute. I'm seeing you play in this game and you just lost like 85,000, but you're going to get the seat today. But I don't understand it. He goes, yeah, well, you got to do these things. And I go, but you lost almost 100,000. What's the purpose? Like, aren't we there to try to win? He goes, yeah, but it's not how it works. That's how naive I was as a year and a half ago to the poker politics of a private game. But God bless. And by the way, Danielle, if you're probably not going to watch my podcast because it's not very good. But
He's in Colombia right now.
But if you happen to do it, no offense taken, because now I kind of get it, and I wouldn't let me play anyway. So I hope you're doing great. I love you. I love your posts, and I think you're a great person. Okay, go.
She's great. Yeah. And so when COVID first started, and we started the private game, and because I'm Phil's best friend, he got me in the game. I didn't know how private worked. I was like, when they kept saying I have to get up, I'm like, why do I have to get up? Right?
Right.
And that I would like, I took it personal.
Yeah.
Same. Like I took it personally, and I'm like, no, it's not personal, Mike. This is how private games work. And I'm thinking, well, why do they get to sit, not me? Right. And me and Phil, we used to get in these huge fights and over the game. And I didn't understand it. Right.
Right.
And now, I do understand it. Like, I'm in a private game now, and I'm the best player, and I'm the first one that has to get up every single day.
You've mentioned that.
And I'm fine with it, now.
Because you get it.
But see, here's the thing. Why am I still able to play in the private games? Okay. Well, you got to bring something to the table. I make everyone fucking laugh. Win or lose, I'll make fun of people. They'll be like people who are afraid to say something. They're like, Mike.
Yeah.
So like somebody got stacked the other day for a massive pot. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, you played that great. I'm like, I can't believe how great you played. I'll tell you who it was. He don't mind. It was our boy J-Books, Jeremy, right?
Yeah, I love Jeremy.
Jeremy Levin, right? Jeremy Levin fucking plays his hand like as bad as he could play, and he's fucking loses. and then the very next hand, he plays against Ryan, and he gets in like ridiculous amount of money, just drawing just about dead, and hits perfect on the first board. He don't mind. Jeremy don't mind what I thought to say about his hand, but bottom line was it was 2,400 to go in 4 spots. Flop came 9-6-5, and it went bet big by a certain player. I don't want to say the person's name.
Yeah, don't.
Jeremy call. Ryan move in for another 14. Jeremy call. Ryan's got queen 9, which I thought he had a much bigger hand than queen 9. Jeremy has 2 7s. And it comes 3-4 on the first board for a straight, and blank 7 on the second board. And I just was making so much fun of fucking Jeremy. It was brutal beat, especially if Phil had folded 2 8s in the hand. But the point is like, I mean, I was just ribbing, you know what I mean? And people like to play with me because I make people laugh. You know what I'm saying?
That's about what I bring to the table too. Now listen, if I didn't own a poker show, I wouldn't be getting a seat, right? Like, is that? Let's face it, I'm probably not getting a seat.
Of course not.
Ryan isn't
But
going.
I also told people all the time, you know, and when people were saying things, I'm like, listen, when Nick put up the money to start this show, part of the contract with Ryan was I get a seat whenever I want.
Because
that was the deal.
I'm pretty much retired. I'm running a poker show, and I wake up in the morning, and when it's one of the 3 days or 2 days that I'm playing, I'm actually excited. I want to play. Now, when I get to the table, I have that same effect as you. These are my friends. We needle, we joke, we talk, we do things, even to the point where people think like I'm a dick and don't like me because they think whatever, but they don't understand. These guys are my friends, and I try to talk at the table and bring that aspect and do that because I'm not going to fucking shove with 6-3 offsuit. I'm just not. Like, I don't care if it's someone's favorite hand. I'm not going to do it. So these are the things. And so it's funny because I've learned more about the poker industry in the last year, which we've been just running over a year, than I ever have known in my whole life. And it's very interesting. It's sometimes very discouraging, but still I love it so much because it's what I love.
Yeah. And listen, I'm blessed. I'm very lucky to be able to play in private games. I'm very lucky that I could call you anytime I want, say I'm coming to LA and play for a week. Okay. I'm blessed. Okay. And I know that, and I don't want to take it for granted, but I also know, again, I truly believe there should never be a private game in a casino. I just don't think it's right. But it's never going to change. I talked to Sean McCormick about this.
Yeah.
And Sean McCormick told me, too far down the rabbit hole, Mike. There's no way out.
There's no turning back, Mike. And a lot of people don't know talking about. First of all, I don't know how you remember all these hands, because someone who says your brain shot from drugs. Listen, let me tell you something, Mike. I can
remember every poker hand. It's the most incredible thing.
I can't remember one hand I played last session. Maybe if I see a clip. So it's pretty impressive to me, because that's one of my. I just can't remember shit like that. But I will say this: people don't know. I've heard a lot of these stories. Here's why. Because, and I think this is hysterical. I was sitting home about a few weeks ago. You text me something, I text you back, and the phone rang. And I'm like, okay, I need to commit the next 30 minutes of my life to this because this was going to happen. And I literally laughed my ass off. We pick up the phone, we had a couple word exchange, and you talked for 30 fucking minutes straight. And then you know what you said when you were done? Hey, man, I'll talk to you another time. And I didn't say a fucking word. And I had you on speaker, and it's hysterical. People don't understand. Like, it's just hysterical to me that your late night calls and rants.
You try and better yourself as a person, right? So, what is my biggest problem in life? I repeat myself too much, and I talk, and I don't let other people's pride talk a lot. Like, even when I'm doing my podcast and I have a guest on,
you struggle.
I tell myself, concentrate on not talking over that.
Right.
You know, I'm saying concentrate, you know, and it's not that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means,
not at all. You're Mike the Mouth. And that's why when I started to say something, I say, Mike, let me finish it. Even before I say it, because I know you're going to cut me off, and I'm a momentum speaker. I can't think if you cut me off.
Of course.
So I already know you're going to do it. And that's why I prefaced to at least take a 50-50 shot. You're not going to. So, let me ask you this, Mike, real quick. Let me ask you this. You got into poker with Phil Hellmuth at the time with Mike Sexton. You talked about that. Do you have regrets that, and I know you're not going to mind this question because you're so fucking open, but do you regret, like you should be richer? You should be somewhere near Phil Hellmuth or even a click or two down, but you're not. And you still got some markers to pay, like you said. Do you regret the fact that your weaknesses and some of the addictions and all this stuff, like you've went broke, you've told me personally fucking a million times, like, does it ever eat you away that you could be a multimillionaire?
No, because you know what? I lost 6.7 million betting sports. I haven't bet sports bets since 2016.
Yeah.
Right. I watch this. Now I play these contests, you know, like I said, 2 weeks in a row, I was in a spot where I was able to hedge, free roll myself on this 133K. And I was able to make a nice little score where I've locked up already 50K, even if I don't even make or I've locked up something like 62K, whether I win the 133 or not. Everything I do now is money management, game selection. I tell myself this every day. Money management, game selection. I watch these fucking football games, and I watch the way they end and the craziness of all these games. And there's always somebody I text, and at least probably the last 10 Sundays in a row. I can't believe I used to bet millions on this shit. That's my text. I can't believe I used to bet millions on this shit. And I realized it took me till 2016. I don't want to name any names, but after my injury in 2014, 2015, I was trying to make money. So because I was a big fish and I used to be able to get $1.05, we were getting down on my accounts. I was running around town to get a half point here and a half point there. And I was working for very sharp people. And they had their only losing year they'd had in 20 years. And that's when I realized how hard it was to win a bet. Here I am, either all over the place to try and save a half point, running to the Sands, running to this casino, the point better here, half point. Because I learned that to win in sports, first of all, you can't take a bad line. You just can't. It's all about always getting down for getting the number. But when we couldn't win, and then I could go back to 2004. Me and a guy named Steve Flicker, 2003, we used to book, and we booked Eric Lindgren and Mike Wattell, who were the biggest degenerates back then, and they beat us for $3.4 million, and we were broke. Just busted both of us.
Yeah.
And most bookies will say, keep good luck this week, and then they win that week. They'll say, "Oh, listen, I got a bunch of money outstanding, and you'll have your money next week." That's what bookies do, right? But we we have no money. You're gonna have to bet with someone else because we're ethical people. And not only did they lose all that money back, plus they ended up losing all that back plus like $1 million each, and we didn't get any of it. So the point I'm trying to make is I never won booking, I never won betting, and I couldn't win following the sharpest people in the world.
Well,
and that's when I finally realized the man upstairs is telling me to get the fuck away from sports.
Yeah, well, that's just something that
I'm the only guy who ever booked in the history of sports that went broke.
Yeah,
I mean, every bookie's got all the fucking money.
So back to my question. Do you ever look back and think to yourself, fuck, what did I do? I could be in a financial situation now, maybe like Phil, who gave his net worth on my podcast or a ballpark of it, and just said, wow, if I would have not made those mistakes, put my energies into building my brand, into businesses and different things, and not donking off in sports. Do you ever sit and have a moment?
Yeah, you know what I tell myself? I know what I tell myself?
What?
I'd be dead.
Because out of boredom?
Because if I had all that money, I might have just never quit doing drugs, in 2003.
So how many times have you gone broke?
9.
Okay. And for people that don't know, you did time for drugs, yeah?
I got set up. I mean, I never sold a drug in my life. A doctor, literally my doctor. When I say my doctor, like if you get sick, you have a doctor you go to? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own personal doctor. Can you imagine going to your own personal doctor and your own personal doctor sets you up with an undercover cop to go buy drugs for him, because he got busted for giving out scripts and somebody died giving out illegal
scripts.
So
he had to work off his pinch, and he used you. What made you do it for him?
He was my doctor. Yeah. He was like, Mike, I need you to get this guy just moved to town. Yeah. I need you to get me a couple hundred ecstasy tabs, and I need you to get me like 2 grams of coke.
Didn't you think it was odd that your doctor asked you for ecstasy and coke?
Well, here's the thing.
You might need a new doctor.
Here's the thing, right? Yeah. Remember, let's go back to intuition.
Yeah.
Right? My intuition told me this guy's an undercover cop, right? But I had quit doing drugs on July 23rd or 26th of 2003, and this guy remained my friend for like a year, And I didn't go out and get him stuff for like 6 months. I'm like, dude, I don't do drugs no more. Why would you want me to go out and get stuff for you? You know? So, and I called Keon at the time, Keon Cavey, Dr. Cavey. And I said, dude, I've been clean for like 4 months. You're pushing me to go and find somebody to get this guy stuff. I go, I don't feel comfortable doing this. First of all, I don't even know what 2 grams of cocaine looks like. You know what I mean? What is that? You know? And I remember finally agreeing to get it. And I made, literally, this is a true story. It took me 2 weeks of phone calls to make. And I went and picked it up. I was so nervous, right? And I got it for this guy. And I was scared to death. I gave it, I was like, here, this is what it cost me, just, you know, whatever. And there was just a setup job. Then they said, you know, then I find out when I'll never forget, it was 2004, I was at Borgata, and the guy who I used to get people think I was a big druggie. No, I was not a big druggie. I never did drugs during the week. I went out on a Saturday night, I did ecstasy tabs.
You liked a little ecstasy and some hookers.
And hookers and and then on Sunday, so they didn't have pool parties back in Vegas in the day. So the pool party, I had like $100,000 pool in my backyard. So we do ecstasy till like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. at Dre's. And then we bring the whole fucking club back to my house. And then we do blow, and people running around naked. And I had I had a life people just dream about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, going back to when I talked about crystal meth, is I didn't even know what meth was. I just remember the girl I was dating at the time, she says, oh, snort a little bit of this and it'll make you focus. Because I kept saying, we used to call it Black Tuesday. When you did ecstasy on Saturday, you'd be like dumb and retarded on Tuesday. So I would take this little bit of, she called it ice, which ended up, I didn't know it was or she called it speed. I didn't know what speed was. Speed is crystal meth, but I didn't know. I was so naive. I didn't know.
Right.
And so then I would take that and I would play at this really high level. And like the first 6 months that I would do the crystal meth, I won like 1.8 million. And I thought I was.
How much more addicting is meth than coke?
Coke is not addicting.
I'm saying meth is ridiculously addicting.
It's it's not even physically addicting. It's mentally addicting.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people, first thing I want to say is people who want to say that Adderall and meth are the same, they're 100% wrong.
Right.
The only time Adderall becomes like crystal meth is if you decide to take, I don't know, 20 pills in 3 days and stay up for 3 days.
Yeah.
Then it becomes like crystal meth. Okay. If you just take your regular half of Adderall, it's nothing like crystal meth.
Yeah.
Zero. Nothing like it. Okay. So, but in poker, what makes you a great poker player? Confidence, right?
Yeah.
When you're fucking on a roll,
Yes.
you're playing with confidence,
Yes.
and you're seeing through the cards, you just feel unbeatable.
Right.
Well, when you take, the one thing I never did is I never smoked crystal meth because they told me if you ever smoke it, you'll never get off of it.
Right.
And there's two or three top players in poker that to this day that I know very well that still struggle because they smoked a lot of it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I never smoked it. So I don't know what it feels like to smoke it.
Yeah.
But I've heard that it's absolutely insane. So
well, our jails are filled with people who can't stop smoking it, right?
And inject. Correct.
So let me ask you this, switching gears, random question. How much do you have left in markers before you're clean?
Oh, less than 150.
Less than 150. So you're close.
It was 783 before the World Series started, or before
nice.
COVID.
So you're grinding your way down.
Yeah,
that's great.
And so the thing is what meth does is it makes you feel like Superman. So
you're not done with the meth subject.
Well, I just want to say it.
All right, go.
It makes you feel invincible.
Right.
Right. And as a poker player, when you're playing with confidence, invincible, like you're seeing through the cards. Now, I don't want anybody ever.
Yeah,
meth is death.
Don't do this.
Meth is death.
Don't do this to win at poker.
That is my motto. meth is death. If anybody ever tells me they want to try crystal meth, I said, I'll kill you. Meth is death. It is truly now fentanyl is probably the worst drug going through the country, but meth is death. So
yeah.
But I never, again, it was ecstasy Saturday night, coke to stay up on Sunday to party with the strippers and the porn stars and shit, and then one tiny line of meth on Tuesday to focus. But I wish I never. Do I have any regrets for the drugs I did? I wish I never did the meth. Because I knew it was. I remember I came back from Paris. I was in Paris for 7 days, and then I went over to to Cheetah. Where did I meet that girl at? Whatever. And I partied with this porn star for 2 more days, and I realized that I'd slept 2 days in 9 days, and that's when I said to myself, "Oh my God, I got a problem. I need help."
Yeah.
And then I went to a psychologist. I told him everything of what I'm going through, how I don't want to ever do drugs anymore. And that's when I realized that I had a slight case of bipolar, and I was using street drugs to medicate myself. And he told me that I was going to have that I would have the urge for crystal meth up till 1.5 years. And 2 weeks before 1.5 years came up, I had an urge still. And then it went away, and I never had the urge again.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because back in the day, I remember this conversation more vividly than a lot of things. And when I was a reserve cop for almost 18 years plus, worked patrol for years, and I remember talking to a guy that we were standing talking to. He was a meth addict and homeless, and I forget what crime it was, but I just remember standing on the side of the road while everything was happening and just started chatting with him. And as he started telling me something, I'm like, wait, you did what? Like, he worked here. He was a CEO of this, and he had a wife. He had 3 kids. So we start talking. I'm like, wait a minute, you were I won't mention the company. You were he goes, yeah. And I go, and then I go, what happened? He goes, I smoked a bowl of meth. And that was the end of it for me. That was the end of it. It just was a downhill slalom from that moment. He lost everything, all his money, his family, his job, his status, and he was sitting on the side of the street with a pretty good rap sheet because he could not stop smoking meth. Period.
It's funny. It's like I said again, the first 6 months I made all this money, and then after that, because it makes you feel like Superman, you think you're Superman, you think you're playing great.
Yeah.
But people are lining up to play with you, and you don't even realize that you're giving it away.
That's like how they were at the bike when I would get in seat 5. They would there was a line around the bike.
To all the young kids out there, listen, don't do drugs, man. Yeah. Because like a person I look up to right now, and I was always a good kid, and he had a drug problem. Everybody knew he had a drug problem, and Chino Reed, and now he's been clean now. He got clean.
Mm-hmm.
He had a poker player. I'm not going to name any names that put up a lot of money to put him in the top rehab place in the country.
I'm not saying name the name, but that's a pretty cool thing to do. Would that person hate that you just said it?
Yeah, I mean,
no, don't if you think it's bad for him.
Yeah, I don't know, but the fact that he did this for him,
yeah,
and he wanted to finally, because Chino, again, he's a once in a generation talent too. This is a guy that people want to talk about who the best fucking tournament poker player in the world is. Well, Chino used to win a 7-figure score every year. Fucking cracked out.
Well, that was that was my next question. Who do you think past and present?
Chino's clean. Chino got clean, and you've seen what he's done to poker the last year.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless Chino. I love this guy so much. He owed a lot of people money, but he wasn't one of the guys that maliciously stole people's money.
Sure.
He would just lose.
Yeah, he had a problem, and he got.
He had always paid people back.
Yeah.
And I tell you right now, and I look up and say, and I look at Chino every time I tell him, don't ever do it.
Well, I didn't know this.
He told me he's home free. You know.
Yeah. Well,
but you're really never hopeful.
You got to be careful with that statement because
Correct.
you're just one puff away. But here's the thing. I didn't know that about Chino, so let me just say, because I don't even know him, never met him, but I'm really happy for him.
Really
if he ever
great person.
hears this, I'm glad you got it together. Now, I was going to ask you, Mike, past and present, top tournament players in the past, top tournament players now, top cash players back in the day when you were coming up, and top cash players now.
Well, again, this is hard for me to say because I'm not out there. You see what I'm saying? I'm not out watching and playing in big cash games.
If you don't know,
as far as tournament goes, I think Shaun Deeb's fucking just absolutely amazing. And he just had a shot to win WSOP Europe.
Saw that.
He believes he's going to catch Phil Hellmuth. I think he's going to have a shot, but I don't think he'll catch him because I taught Phil how to play all the mixed games. Phil was always not very good in the mixed games. He understood a few games, but I said, Phil, listen, you want to go down as the greatest poker player of all time. You ain't going to do it no limit hold'em. Okay? No limit hold'em, there's too many great players. There's way too much variance. There's
how many of
done.
his bracelets are no limit? I don't know. Do you know?
Well, up until his last two bracelets, his last his last 3 or 4 bracelets, his first 12 were all in hold. 8 no limit, 4 in limit hold. Okay. And he's going to get an Omaha 80 bracelet because he's really listened and he really understands things. And people will say, well, why do you teach Phil all these games? Well, things were bad for me. Nobody was there. Phil was there for me.
Yeah, you told me that one time. Yeah.
And I'm not saying financial, okay, because Phil didn't give people think, oh, Phil gave me all this money to help me get it back on top. No. Phil took pieces of me. He didn't. I think maybe Phil loaned me $5,000. I've never owed Phil more than $10,000. So most of the time it was Phil being for me, mentally, Phil being for me, taking pieces of me. Once I started to build up a little bit of a bankroll, like the old Mike would probably have. I'd probably have $3 million right now.
Yeah.
Because I would just take the 20,000 I had. I would just put it on a table. I'd run it up, right? But this Mike decided I'd play for 10%, 15%, 20%, and for the last 3 years until I was playing for 100% of myself, because I told myself I'm not going broke again. That's it. I just made up my mind. I'm not going broke again. And I could pay off everybody I have that I owe right now, you know, but I have a certain bankroll that I have.
Yeah.
I put myself first now. Instead of whenever I would make $100,000, I'd give 75 away to people, keep 25, lose 2 days in a row, and be broke again.
Right.
This time I decided that, hey, you guys are going to have to wait a little bit. And they didn't like it, but it was the best choice I made. And
well, from what I know about you, they're going to get paid. And I tell you, I've been on calls. I've been in person and on calls with you and Phil, and I've never seen two people fight more. Usually Phil hammering the shit out of you. He's very aggressive with you. But I will say this. I know you
Not
guys
anymore,
I
though.
know you guys are like brothers, because anytime I talk to you, you have the nicest things to say about him, and on and off camera, the same. He just has nothing but good things to say about you. And so it's good you have that kind of relationship, and that's what I'm saying. That's the vibe I feel from Phil. What advice would you give Phil to pull himself out of some of the hate he gets? Or do you think it's too far gone and he can't?
This is okay. So, and I tell people all the time, they can say whatever they want. Phil's instincts in poker is top 5 in the world, top 3 in the world, for sure. Maybe top. Okay. If Phil would just stop the ego.
Yeah.
Okay. Go out, study the solvers, study the GTO. Okay. Get his mechanics. His mechanics are horrific. Get his mechanics flawless.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to put the GTO and the solver into your game, but know what other people are doing.
Yeah.
That's what Daniel did. But what did Daniel do? Daniel got too much into the solver, into the GTO, and all of a sudden his game started to become all about that.
Is he pulling back now and balancing
Well, now
it?
he has.
Yeah.
So now what did he do? He wins the super high roller ball, limping to death. You know, you see this new saying, limping is pimping, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Phil, I've been telling him for years, just limp. The solvers don't know what to do to a limp. But as long as let me ask you something. If you raise the same amount in all situations with different hands, you're balanced, correct?
Yes.
If you limp all the time, you're also balanced.
Yeah.
Okay? And you lower the variance.
Are we talking tournament or cash?
Talking tournaments.
Okay.
And so,
because this is a no-no in cash.
Daniel,
just so you know.
Daniel, when he went to WSOP Europe, he finished like 4th in the main event. He says, all I know is I'll be getting my money in 2-1 favorite. And if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. Well, for like 2 years, Daniel was following the solvers, which is Jack Queen suited, 16 big blinds. Guy just shoved on me, call, because the solver says to call. Okay? Or I've got Jack 10 of spades. I've got 15 big blinds, blind against blinds, shove. Well, Daniel got sick of fucking losing every fucking flip, right? Or you know, and play. So he started just small balling with 15 big blinds or less, because that's what Daniel used to do. Daniel was the best small ball player in the world. Daniel's one of the best partners I've ever met.
I remember when that was his style.
You know, and I even said to Daniel, and again, it's like the day before he won the super high roller ball, we were texting. He goes, Mike, I'm going to really fuck him up. He goes, I'm going to limp 100 big blinds deep. And they're not going to know what happened. I said, yes. I go, that's exactly what you should do, right? And because I just know that the solver, I used to always say, like, what do you do when the guy raises the button and I just flat call with 2 aces out of the small blind, right? Yeah. If I'm always flat calling with big hands out of small blind tournaments, the solver doesn't know what to do. Yeah. If you 3-bet, the solver's going to tell you, you know what I'm saying? And so when he told me he was going to do this, I said, oh, I love it. I love it, right? Yeah. And then he wins it, right? And I watched it, and he played so fucking good. Yeah. I mean, he played fucking flawlessly. And I call it where it is. I mean, he was never at risk. He never played a big pot. And now they're going to – it was funny. People were like, you know, giving Daniel a lot of credit. That was very interesting, the new stuff you were doing, right? And my answer was – and Daniel got a little mad at me for it, but well, that's the stuff that Phil's been telling you for the last 10 years when Phil's been limping and all you guys have been doing is making fun of him and telling him how bad he is. Yeah. You know? And they're like, well, but Phil don't limp 100 big blinds deep because Phil never has 100 big blinds. Well, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I got it.
And even when Daniel lost to Doug Polk, right? Doug or Daniel decided to learn from MJ or whatever, you know, the certain style head up, and he fought fire with fire. And Doug had been doing that style for 10 years, and now Daniel's been doing it for 6 months, where I believe that if Daniel just limped every fucking button and then you just keep the pot small and you just finally, all of a sudden, you're showing him the nuts every time. Now, all of a sudden, it stops his ability to attack you and just bluff you and bluff you and bluff you. And so I believe that once Doug would have saw that Daniel had it every time, now Daniel turns on the fucking gear and starts 3-bet and ramp. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm trying to say?
I understand.
And so I just feel like he played into his hands and wasn't quite balanced enough.
Yeah.
And so now you see some of these top players and everything everything kind of circles back in poker, right? In 2011, it was raised 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet. I'm like, what are these fucking people doing? Right. And I remember coming back when, like 2017, when I first started back at No Limit again. I go, Daniel, where'd all the 4 and 5 bettors go? He goes, oh, they went broke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because even back in the days in 2000, even when Carlos 5-bet me at the main event final table, right? I had a tell on him, and I knew he had nothing, and I somehow didn't follow my tell. And if I call and lose the pot, I would have finished 6th anyways. But if I call and win the pot, I win the World Series. So that hand really haunted me for many years. It still does. But
well, Mike, I'll tell you real quick. So let me give you my answer, because the original question, by the way, I like that rabbit hole, so don't worry, because that was very interesting. But the original question was, what advice would we give to Phil? And let me tell you what I would give. And I don't mean advice that
my advice would be to Phil is learn get your mechanics fucking right.
Yep.
And learn what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Study.
Well, mine would be more on the question of why he receives a lot of the pushback. And I probably should take my own.
I just told you why.
Let me finish. Remember the cutting off thing? So, okay. So yeah, let me get this out. So point is I make a lot of mistakes too with my personality in a different way than Phil. It's not an ego brag thing. It's more of an ego, like, fuck you thing when people are attacking. And so I'm learning a lot of lessons going through what I'm going through. But what I would tell Phil, and let me say something, Phil came in here, listen, he did that for me. He did not give 2 shits about coming on my podcast. He came all the way from the bike to do that. It was very nice of him, and it was a great interview, even though it was very difficult because of his ego. But one thing that I would just say to him, because it's so much easier when you look at somebody else. Like, I'm sure so many people have come to me and said, Nick, like, this is why. And I'm like, shit, yeah, I didn't realize that. And they've given me good advice on how to handle myself when it comes to adversity. Well, the same thing that I would love to have told Phil, and I wanted to, but it was hard to get, a word in, is like this. Like, look, Phil, your accomplishments, regardless of what anyone wants to say about you, are going to speak for themselves for the rest of time in poker. There is no getting around the fact that he's one of the greatest tournament players out there ever. His stats speak for it. He's done amazing things for poker. Like you said, if it wasn't for him and Sexton and you guys, and who knows? Okay. But what I would just say is, like, when I would ask him a question, and it was a tough question, like, how do you feel about people that just want to watch Alan Keating and not you anymore? Like, I know that hurts him. I wasn't trying to hurt him. Hold on. And I wasn't trying to hurt him. I just know that that's something that needs to be talked about. But instead of just saying, like, Nick, look, I understand why they want to see this because of this. And look, here's who I am. Here's how I came up. Here's how my philosophy is. And I get that. And just because anytime I asked Phil a question, it would be the first a minute and a half was his resume. No matter what I asked him, he gave me the same stats and then kind of answered the question and then was very defensive. Like I am sometimes. I get defensive about being attacked and different things. And I just wanted to say to him, and I didn't, and I wish I would have after too, but we didn't have time, is just to say, look, dude, lean in to who you are. Lean into why you do the things you do. Be humble about it and let your stats speak for themselves. And all these people won't have the blood in the water to come attack you on the content of the ego, right? And so that's what I would tell Phil because, like I said, at the end of the day, Phil's a really nice person, a lot nicer than some of these players that everyone wants to watch. He's just a good person and he's accomplished so much. Like, let it be. You got a great family. You've made millions. You're worth hundreds of millions, not hundreds, but you're worth millions and millions of dollars. And you've created this amazing brand. Now just pull back the reins, accept who you are, and lean into it.
And I told him, like, as far as like, you don't need to be the poker brat anymore.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't
need to build that brand.
I don't need to be Mike the Mouth anymore. Like
but
Phil
you still
says
are.
to me, I know, but Phil says to me, you need to start going back to your old ways at the table and digging into people and getting under people's skin. I'm like, Phil, people play too fucking good now to fucking worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to worry about what they're fucking doing. I'm like, No Limit Hold'em. If you fucking miss it, like we talk about the it, right? We talk about when you see it, you know what I mean? If you miss the it for a second, you're fucking out. You're done.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing about No Limit Hold'em and again, why I didn't play for so long is because of the pain I'm in all the time, because of medication I'm all the time. It's like no limit hold'em. You miss it for this much, you get felt it. You know, you're playing 400, 800 mixed game, and you miss it. You pay off an extra 800. You go to the next hand. You see what I'm saying? And so, I've learned a lot. Where here's the thing is what I've done, and again, I don't want to sound braggadocious because I'm not. Because knock on wood, it can change tomorrow. But I have learned correct everything now because people are so good is sizing.
Is
you
what?
must size correct.
Yeah.
If you miss size versus a top player, they will see it. Okay.
Right.
And these are the things that Phil, where he gets made fun of by the top players. If Phil understands size, understand, and it's really easy, is understand sizing. Make sure when you have that you're balanced on sizing. You know, Daniel Negreanu taught me something. He said, Mike, 3-bet suited connectors 25% of the time and use the same suit per day. So if you sit down in a cash game or tournament, whatever, say, okay, today's suit is spades. 1 out of 4 times that you have 5, 6 suited, 7, 8 suited, 8, you fucking 3-bet and you stay balanced. Okay. And this is something I took to heart. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And because I have such a tight image, you know, I'm able to use my image really good.
Yeah.
And so, again, there's 2 ways to play poker. There's lots of ways to play poker. You could play like Chance Pornhook, who's a fantastic poker player and who plays really fast. Okay. But it's hard to make hands. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Do you want to play fast? Or you know, some people can play fast and then you're always going to get paid because they know how fast you are, right? Or can you play small ball, super tight, 3-bet on the exact correct frequencies that you're supposed to, and then bomb it? Because like, it's even like, let's go back to how I got knocked out of the main event this year. I knew how great I've been at No Limit the last 2.5 years. It took me to blow up in the main event for every top poker player in the world to say how great I played that hand, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't care what they say, you know. The story on Mike Matusow is, oh, Mike had this injury, Mike can't play anymore, Mike's washed up, he sucks, right? But see, me and Phil know. I mean, he knows how. Everybody knows. People know how good I play, right? But it took that hand because I saw it. I saw it, and I said to myself, "This motherfucker's really going to raise me with a small flush on a paired board, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to give it up." I'm like, "You motherfucker, you raised here." I go, and I thought this hand through. I said, if I have 200,000 more behind, I'm going to fucking go for it. And you got to remember, I'm at the table. I fucking showed quads. I showed 5s full. And I showed a couple little tiny, there was 2 other tiny bluffs, whatever. So when I flopped quads, I c-bet small.
Yeah.
Got called. I checked the turn and I bet the river. Well, this hand, I c-bet small, got called, checked the turn, and bet the river. And when he raised me on the river, I knew he made a small flush. And I said, this guy cannot call. He was a professional. It wasn't like he was an amateur. I'd never do it against an amateur.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the guy, Diaz, who finished like 11th, the guy who laid down the ace-queen on the king-queen board, whatever. He told me we were cashing out. He goes, not only did I think you had it, Mike, and not only was I sure you had it, he goes, I couldn't even believe the guy was wasting our fucking time. He goes, that's how sure I was that you had it. And so in poker, it's about telling a story, right?
Yeah.
As long as you tell the story correctly, you're going to get the bluffs through.
Right.
It's all about telling the story.
So, Mike,
right?
in one-word answers, because I want to bring you back to the question, and if you don't know the answer or you don't have an opinion, back in the day and the future now, cash tournament, best on each.
Phil Ivey.
Phil Ivey's the best now and then?
Ain't even close.
Now and then?
Well,
are we talking cash or tournament? Both?
I just know that all around. Okay. I know Phil Ivey struggled with his life in 2018. He had some problems.
Yeah.
And he got his shit together, and he's crushing again.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. I don't know who the top players are.
It's fine.
But people want to say, I remember Doug Polk put out a top 100 best all players of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even have me in the top 100, which is fine. It's a joke. There's like 80 of them that couldn't hold my jock strap. That's fine. Okay? When you say best poker players of all time, you don't say best no-limit hold'em tournament players of all time.
Yep.
Okay? You don't say best no-limit hold'em cash game players of all time.
I got it.
Okay? To be considered one of the best poker players of all time,
you
must be a great tournament player, a great cash game player, and not just no limit or PLO, but in Omaha 8, stud, limit hold'em, Vertucci, Badesi, fucking Badoogie.
I would agree with
Triple
you.
Draw.
I would agree with you that if you put it in that context, you're putting the check mark next to Phil Ivey.
You gotta check the boxes. There is nobody I will ever vote as the greatest poker player of all time unless you can play every game. So for people out there that are great no-limit players that have won millions upon millions, and they want to go down as the greatest poker player, one of the best poker players of all time, learn fucking mixed game.
I got it. That's a great answer. Now, next question. Your mouth, you talked about earlier, and you've toned that down. Do you have any poker beefs from the past or the present because of your mouth remaining? No. Did you make up with Shaun Chacon or whatever the hell his name is back in the day when you guys had your beef?
Shaun and me have been friends for years.
Cool. Okay.
Shaun's.
Do you remember what your mouth did in the hand that I played against Phil? With aces against ace king. Do you remember what you did though?
About that hand?
But do you remember what you did?
Yeah, but what's funny about that is I thought Phil was already folded, and that's why that was again pissed me off with Doug Polk, because Doug Polk will do anything for clicks, and to try and accuse me of Phil Hellmuth of cheating is just let's
not talk about Doug Polk, because I don't. Look, because here's the thing, whatever he does, whatever they do, let's leave it at that. I'm just saying you just thought that the hand was over.
I did.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's fair. I believe you. I believe you. And for those of you, I might show the clip. It's basically I bluffed with ace king against his aces, and he was making a decision, and you said, oh, I know that's what you had. I folded flush.
King high.
King high. I think the biggest pot of the day is going to be won by 6-8 suited. It's not going to be aces.
Diamonds.
Speaking of 6-8 suited, if we need another player, Jeremy's just dying to play.
Mike.
He's a nice guy.
You know, I actually thought to myself, that if Mike invited someone else into the table when I was gone, which you're not allowed to do and Ryan banned you from doing, I was thinking I might just quit. But I love these guys too much to quit.
All right, so let me find somebody.
No, Mike, you have no say.
Are we trying to get one more person?
We are not.
Good.
7-hand is
I like
perfect.
the short game.
Yeah, anybody else need full service?
7-hand is fun, you know?
Raise to 3.
That's good.
I think we're good.
All right. Thank you. We're good. Yeah.
You're welcome. We're good, Peter. Thank you.
Welcome. I mean,
You're the best, Peter.
Can I
Don't
get
let
a drink
anybody
service?
Tell you you're not.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got some big hands here. Nick with ace king and Phil with number 1.
We raised to 1,700.
That's bullshit. Let's chop it.
And Phil's going to make it 1,700 to go, and Nick just flatted with ace king from the small blind.
You can pull in 300 each.
I wonder if he tried to set a trap, or he just thinks Mike Matusow is playing that snug that he's just going to flat.
Is this the hand we busted? 10 seconds, Mike.
One player, 2 hands.
Personally, I love ace king in these spots. Cut off open, and I'm in the small blind. Just run into some trouble.
You do it, Nick.
You got to go with that. Side there, it's not.
Do it for all the old Jews.
That's right. Man, there's a lot of
Jews. We're going to
Jews
go heads up in a $4,100 pot.
Very few Armenians in Asia.
Dry board, but Nick does have the ace of spades in hand, which means he can backdoor the nut flush.
But I went to the Republican.
We know Phil likes to put out small bets, so let's see. Oh, and he's going to go big here. I thought he was going to go something like 1,200. There's
I got a purple hat that says
2,200.
make the Lakers great again.
Oh, fuck yes, dude.
From a game theory standpoint, Nick should carry on with his best ace high, ace king. And he can make the backdoor flush.
Yeah, that was a weird signing.
500 in the pot. Phil double checking his whole cards. I wonder if he would do this while he's bluffing. And he checks it back. Laying the rope here for Nick Vertucci. And will Nick take a stab here? We know Nick loves to stab in these spots.
All in?
And he goes all in. He can rep the nut flush. Since he has the ace blocker, he's got the best removal. And he's putting Phil to the test.
Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. You wouldn't laugh if you saw my hand, Mike. I'm glad you're having so much fun, Mike.
Oh, I knew you had that.
You knew I had aces.
Yeah, that's why I folded and made a flush.
They didn't.
5 seconds. Show the bluff. That's right, baby.
And Phil folds aces.
You tell him,
Crazy
baby.
with ace king.
Yes, yes, baby. Yes, that is
number
2
one.
fucking 100. That's 200 right there.
Yeah, ship the 200.
200.
Ship it.
No, but that, you bluffed them. That's a 200 ball too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ship it.
Give me their money. I just knew you wouldn't ship with top pair.
You have to
Check
understand,
call.
Phil. We had a little thing. If you bluff Phil a big pot or stack
Mike, can I say some shit, or you want to interrupt my steam too?
You want to interrupt my steam? Mike, shut the fuck up and let him steam.
I'm so upset.
about 4 streams.
Okay. All right.
That was great.
All right.
Mike actually shut me up again. It's
I can't
unbelievable.
believe it. Mike, stop it. Let him
Okay.
steam. Now he's double steaming. Where's my other 200 from everybody?
I don't think
You're in that?
No, sir.
God, they play so fucking
Not
bad.
They play so.
I got the guy to put in 17 big blinds. Oh, and he peeled off 2K drawing dead. The only card that scares me is a spade.
No, I had the spades.
Wow, I played it bad. If I just bet 5,000 on the turn, he's just going to move in for no reason and give me all his money.
What'd you do on the turn? You checked?
Yeah, that was my mistake. I thought he's gonna get lucky and flop a set of 6s, and I'm not even gonna pay him off to just super punish him for putting in that much money. But I punished myself.
That was
God,
the
can you
greatest 200
imagine?
I've ever given up in my whole life. I'm not gonna lie.
God, how bad?
Are they
going to
make a video of that? Because if I'm in a video with the greatest of all time like that, oh my God, that would be such an honor.
Don't
And
worry,
I'm not
Nick.
even being sarcastic.
You and I have 4 more hours together. Don't
We
worry.
got a lot more than that. Me and Nick.
What are you
aren't
talking
going
about? I'm
nowhere.
locking this shit up.
You can't. Don't worry. Remember, you were going to give me all the money the other day. I had 2 pair, and
I
you
know.
did a miracle then
It's
too.
the same thing, yeah. Just a different, yeah.
What a spade for you. Wow.
Yeah, the spade was the only reason I could do that, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, of course. I mean,
I had Queen 9 of spades.
but I'm supposed
so
to be
sick.
doing shit like this. That's why I'm here, Phil.
Exactly. We're not
How do you
invited.
think I get a
we're
seat
not
every
invited
time?
because we're tight.
Yeah.
We're the best players.
Because we're
So if you want
donkeys.
the tight
Exactly.
ones, we'll call Andy back and
Yeah.
we'll call who else,
Oh, I
whatever.
love it.
Andy and Garrett and
Somehow I had kings
Zach,
against queens and
Florence.
aces against ace king, and I'm losing.
That's not
Bill
good
has
sign for you,
pocket kings.
Oh, Mike, shut the fuck
Big
up.
I
John
had
with the
queens,
gutter and
ace
an open.
kings,
Christ.
and I lost
Shut the
1,600.
fuck
maybe you
up.
should offer to chop him.
God damn,
Then
man.
you made me. I was so convinced
Mike,
you had
you are
aces
so
or kings.
fucking tilting him right now. You have no idea.
I know, but it's like I have
He's got
to
to
leave
take another
again.
break.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
leaving.
going back to the pool?
Fucking Mike is like unbelievable. The guy cannot
Kenny,
shut
don't
the
do
fuck
these
up. He's crazy.
Honey, can you believe this guy
What
called
is
me with
happening
ace
on
king?
TV?
He moved all in with ace king, honey.
I will tell you this: Mike's not invited anymore.
It's even spell poker.
He's tilted. He had aces. I folded Queen on
Honey,
a spade.
can you believe this? He
I would have
shoved
won
with
all
ace
that
king.
beautiful money.
Honey,
When I put my
Honey, I bluffed Phil.
It was a good bluff.
Phil's pussy ass just checked the fucking turn like a pussy.
Ace spade blocker. Got the blockers and the solvers and the GTO whatever.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm repping the spades, right? Like, or I'm trying to. And so,
I think I said out loud I folded 2 spades or something.
No, you said I folded a flush. I'm gonna try to play the clip. But my question, and do you remember the other?
But Phil didn't even hear me.
No, I know he didn't. No, I know he didn't hear you. There was no effect on it. There's no beef here at all. It just was what it was. And do you remember the other heat you took because Phil had a piece of you and in the middle of the game wanted the money back?
Yeah, I mean, that was so ridiculous. You can't take money off a fucking table until it's. I mean, but these are like the dumb things Phil does. Phil does a lot of stupid things. And again, Phil's my second best friend in life. I'll never say a bad thing about him.
I know
what I'm saying.
I'm not saying anything bad about him either.
But Phil wants to make sure that people know that when I'm crushing, that he has a piece of me. Like, I wouldn't be crushing if it wasn't for him.
He wants credit. He wants credit.
He wants credit. Okay. Now, does he? If you tell him that out loud, he would never say that.
No, of course not.
But deep down inside, that's how he thinks, because he wants to be loved. That's just the way Phil is.
I get it.
You get it, right? So So you hear people think like, the only reason why Mike has money is because Phil puts him in, and Phil's never doesn't stake me at all. I've never. Matter of fact, the most he's ever had is half of me in any game. And like I said, when I said Phil helped me out, he didn't help me out financially. He helped me out mental to get through it. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think Phil has loaned me, the most he's ever loaned me is $10,000, like maybe twice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the misconception, like, I'm doing great because Phil, I ride Phil. You hear people say I ride Phil's coattails. That's just not true. It just can't be any farther from the truth. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, if anything, it's kind of the opposite, because Phil's won last 3 or 4 bracelets. You know, I mean, he credited me. I mean, it was funny when they asked him, why do you final table 7 different events and 7 different games in 2021? And he gave me all the credit, and you hear some people laughing, like, ha ha ha, Mike Matusow, ha ha ha, But that's okay,
Yeah, well, it's a brutal poker industry, and that's never going to stop.
It's a brutal industry because people, the young, they don't respect the people before them.
Yeah.
If everybody, and that's just not just in poker, but in life. Look at the world right now.
Yeah.
Look at how it is right now. It's people, on social media is a fucking cesspool of disgusting people, right? It's because they're all hiding behind their computer, talking shit about everybody. Probably half of them are probably 14, 15 years old. I truly believe like Elon Musk buying Twitter is the greatest thing that's going to happen in this country and the world. And I do believe that everywhere on all social media platforms, I truly believe that you should be 18 to be able to use social media, and you should have fucking ID, just like you should have an ID to vote. It's like everybody needs an ID.
Do you believe that people on social media should not be able to hide behind the profile and be who they are?
I just think that you have to. I think that everybody should have a blue check mark. Everybody should be the person they are. There should be no people imitating.
What I'm saying is,
people.
you think it should be who you are, not just like the name, like ABC poker
right?
player.
Exactly.
It should be.
That's just. Yeah. And so,
because don't you think you should be accountable? Like, even if people mix up like free speech, hate speech. I don't think that anyone should monitor it. I don't think that anyone should be the judge of it. But I do think
held accountable.
But I do think that you should be accountable for what you say. And if it's within the guidelines of free speech, you're good. And if not, you're not.
Correct. And I tell people this all the time. And Tristan Wade's probably my 3rd or 4th best friend in life. And we talk a lot. We got in a big argument yesterday about free speech, right? And he's like, Elon Musk can't just let it be. People say whatever they want. I go, why not? They can say whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
Kanye, listen, I'm Jewish. And do I believe what Kanye said is true? Yeah. I believe a lot of things he said were true.
Yeah.
Okay? But you can't come out and say it the way he did it.
No. His delivery system and how he's doing it, he's drawing dead.
He's drawing dead.
Yeah.
And he doesn't see, because he's got mental illness, right?
Yeah.
And he's, because he's the way he is, he's fixated of you're trying to cancel me for my opinion.
He thinks you should weed through all of the stuff to get to the core of his comment, but what she doesn't understand is you have to explain your comment in the right way.
And the way he delivered it,
it
sounds like he's fucking anti-Semitic.
It does.
Okay, but he's not. Okay, and the truth of the matter is it's kind of like me when I say certain things that people will be like, "What did Mike just say?" Like on Twitter, and because you know this and everybody knows this, when you text with a person, whether it's your girlfriend, your wife, your friend, sometimes your text, they come across
there's no
completely
context.
different than what
the context is different than what you mean it. It's happened a million times to everybody.
Correct, and it happens to me on Twitter a lot. Like, and then they'll be like, "Mike just did this," or "Mike did this." And I'm like, "What? I didn't. That's not what I meant." That's not. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's and that's what happened with Kanye. And when Kanye was given the platform to apologize and explain himself, he doubled down.
I know.
But he didn't double down on hate. He doubled down on what he was literally trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, again, being Jewish, I know what anti-Semitism is. Okay?
Right.
People want to say that Dave Chappelle was anti-Semitic in his opening of the Saturday Night Live speech on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was as funny as can be. It was him delivering what Kanye was saying in a comedy way that was very funny and very truthful.
Well, I don't want to get going on the cancel culture because it makes me want to throw up in my mouth. So let's comedians are comedians. I know. I don't even want to get on the topic because
I know, but I'm going to say one more thing about the Chappelle thing.
All right.
I read this article that he literally had the cold open and they all rehearsed for the cold open and he went with his own open and he did it for a reason because you heard what he said. I'm not worried about the people out here, whatever they say, the people, because he understands in this country right now, in this world, we must protect comedians. We must protect free speech.
That is what he's trying to do and say, but it's just, anyways, I get it, man. And let me ask you this, Mike. We've been going close to 2 hours or so.
Mm-hmm.
I may regret this, but I'm going to say, is there give you an open hole here? Is there anything you want to say or tell someone or anything before we go that you just think is something you need to say? If not, you don't feel like you have to come up with something. You want to leave? Do you want to leave us with anything?
I mean, I'll say this. A lot of things I say, maybe on social media, are controversial.
Yeah.
Everything I do, in my mind, is to try and better the world, to help people. Before I became political in 2015, the only thing that I cared about was the green felt and betting sports. Okay?
Yeah, right.
When I became political, whether you agree with my politics or not, I did it because I care about working class people. Okay? All of us top players that have people have millions of dollars, it's easy to say, well, this is how it should be.
Right.
Okay? You got to connect with working class people. You got to connect to understand when gas prices are $7 a gallon and fucking eggs are fucking 3x, these people aren't making any more money. They have to take care of a wife, and 2 kids.
Yeah.
Okay? People are making $800. The average family makes $30,000 a year. What's that? Like less than $1,000 a week.
Right.
Right. $35,000 a year. Right. And to feed 2 kids, you gotta try and help these people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the way I might come across is I care about people. Before I became political, I cared about myself and I cared about playing the green felt. Now I care about other people. I want to try and make the world a better place. And that's how I come across.
Well, it is true. And I will say in closing this, let me just say this. I've gotten to know you over the last year or two. I think when you're the nicest guys that I've ever met. You have a heart of gold. I know it was a big undertaking getting you up on this podcast at 11 a.m. Pacific that usually you're sound asleep. So thank you for doing that for me. I think that the people will receive this great, are going to love to hear some of the things you said. It was very interesting. And the last thing I want to say, two things. First one is definitely come down soon so we can play together. We'll knit it up and put on the most boring show ever. So we'll do that together.
Okay.
We'll make a commitment. And then bring your fucking beard clipper because I need to shape that son of a bitch because it's been bugging me. Listen,
it's fine.
Listen,
I
it's
just
not
didn't- I
fine.
haven't
Listen,
done it. I haven't left
no,
the
no,
house.
listen. The right side of your face, looking at you, it's the left, but your right side of your face looks 15 feet longer than the other. I need to get it
Yeah,
shaped
well, it
for
is.
you. So when we come down, bring your clipper because I don't want your shit in my clipper, and I'm gonna shape that bitch for you. All right.
Sounds good. And listen, to all the younger generations that are playing poker and they want to be a professional poker player, I tell people all the time, stay in school.
Yeah.
Don't do it because there's less than 1%. Somebody wrote on I think it was Brandon Shack-Harris put up a poll like how many people make $250,000 a year and how many people make $100,000 a year playing poker.
Yeah.
And he wrote 5% and 2.5%. I'm like, you are so far off on that. It's like maybe between 3/4 and 1% make over $250,000 a year playing poker, and between 1 and 1.5% make $100,000 a year playing poker.
I know.
It ain't fucking easy. Playing cards, you got to have the instincts. You got to have good intuition.
Yeah.
You got to have money management. You got to have game selection. And it took me 49 years to get the game selection, the money management,
I got
all
it.
that.
Well, at least you got there. And guys, you heard it straight here from the mouth. Mike Matusow. Mike Matusow. You heard it right here. Now you know how to say his name. Mike, thank you for coming on the show. For those
You're
of
very
you
welcome, Nick.
watching, go ahead.
And I always listen. I with all the controversy you guys been through.
Yeah.
People would call me and say, and they're trying to send me these I go, listen, there ain't no fucking cheating going on.
Yeah.
These are fucking world-class fucking people. These are people you don't meet every day. These are fucking great people.
I didn't ask you to say that. We didn't rehearse that. I will tell you this. I appreciate your support. You've supported me from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, and I will never forget that.
Yeah, and I'm closing one more thing. People want to talk shit. Start your own motherfucking business, okay? And run your own business the way you want.
You got it.
Don't tell people how to run their business.
Well, I'm letting you do the talking because I'm trying to take on a new leaf. But Mike, thank you. I appreciate your support
I love you,
so
brother.
much, and I love you too, guys. Mike Matusow. So. And you heard it. This is the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. Thank you for tuning in. Envy out.
Later.
Mike, thanks, buddy.